But yeah, today I wanted to talk about email marketing because it's extremely neglected, I feel, and it's one of the less talked about methods of lead generation when it comes to, the whole pot consisting of social media, cold calling, door knocking, open houses, and all that stuff. So I feel like email marketing is getting a little bit neglected, and there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to nurturing your leads via email. Okay. Um, so let's go on and start the presentation. Also, something that I changing when it comes to these Tech Tuesdays. I don't want to bombard you guys with a lot of technical information because it's not the same as contracts, or it's not the same as doing comps. So I want to give this information, moving forward and more in a more bite-sized format. So instead of stretching it out to, an hour plus, we're going to try and keep it concise, just learn one or two things every meeting, probably more on the one thing a meeting side, maybe spanning 35, maybe 30 minutes, half an hour. Okay. But if there's any questions, obviously we can stretch it and get all the questions answered, and yeah, just go from there. But in general, the meetings will be a little bit more concise, and just I want to feature or showcase one feature at a time when it comes to KVCORE or other aspects of tech when it comes to being an agent. Okay. So as usual, you can go ahead and scan this QR code to get emails that I do send out when it comes to, tips when using KVCORE or lead generation online, social media, all of that fun stuff. So if you haven't already, you can scan this QR code. It will ask for your email, and through that, I'll be able to reach out to you with some good information. Okay, I think Missy, that's what you were talking about. So she's already getting them. But yeah, last time I think I sent some Thanksgiving templates for you guys to send out to your leads. So if you're interested in stuff like that, this is how you can sign up for that. There's no cost. It's just an email list for us all. All right. So as always, before we get started, you can engage with me at any time. You can raise your hand. If you know the raise your hand feature on Zoom here, I think we all know by now. If not, it's on the little menu bar. You can raise your hand. You can also leave a note in the chat, ask a question in there. I'll get to it periodically. You may also unmute yourself. I'll try and leave some time, between sections of the meeting and see if you guys have any questions, kind of a pulse check. But don't be afraid to unmute yourself and let me know if I'm going too fast or there's something you did not understand. Okay. And yes, of course, these meetings are recorded. They all end up on YouTube, where I have a plethora of information. So yeah, some of the content is redundant, so I don't always repost. However, I'll just start posting everything, this one included. So yeah, I'll post a link to the YouTube channel in a little bit so that you guys can access that too. All right. So we're talking about email marketing, empowering yourself with the incredible potential of CRMs to revolutionize your real estate business. Sounds very fancy, but it's just sending emails. And I want to talk to you guys about best practices, little things you can do to make your life easier as a real estate agent, all the while using our free and powerful tool called KVCORE. Okay. So if you haven't, again, this year is coming to an end. So my wish as a tech coach is for everyone to, start doing some things on there. Log in. It's a powerful program. Learn one step at a time. We'll start doing these meetings again, like I said, in a more concise and bite-sized format, so that you can start learning more and more. Because there's so much you can do on these CRMs that is going unnoticed. All right. Oh, also at the top here, if you don't have my contact info, it's going to be at the top of most of these slides, I think. I'll also leave it in the chat at the end of the meeting. If you need to call me, text me, send me an email, follow me on Instagram, you have a quick question, you can always let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you. Okay. All right. So I have a few slides. I have a few things I did want to mention before we actually get into KVCORE and I show you certain things you can do. So I started out with KVCORE with, an email marketing strategy. So my plan or my strategy was to download a lot of leads or purchase a lot of leads from, maybe Redx or Mojo Dialer and upload all of them to my KVCORE system and put them on drip campaigns. And to this day, I still utilize the same strategy. I used to stress over how good the emails looked, what the information inside them, did it sound good? Did it look good? Would people actually bother to click on it? I was very obsessed with getting it perfect. So after a while, comparing, generic emails versus meticulously curated, perfect emails, I'm happy and sad to report that consistency with the generic content that KVCORE gives you is almost always going to beat trying to get it perfect. You don't have to have those nice photos, the very beautiful fonts, the GIFs in there, all of the links, the beautiful email signature. I mean, it's nice to have those things, but prioritizing those things and limiting yourself from actually sending out, marketing emails to people, prioritizing those things will halt you from making any progress. So when you're getting started, I recommend just going with the consistency approach, where you just draft the bare, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but don't try to get it perfect on the first go. Just go with what KVCORE has to offer. Get some templates that you're comfortable using and just send them out to as many people as you can. And ideally, you want to have this going on a consistent basis. So we're going to see this in a minute here. I'll show you how you can implement some of those with your leads in KVCORE during this meeting. But try not to think too hard about what the email looks like and all of the intricacies in there. Okay, and I think I have a short video here that I wanted to play for you guys. Basically highlights what I was saying. So this is a little icebreaker video, if you will. I hope you guys can hear this.
If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. If you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. If clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit. Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it,
Is it me? Because I can't hear.
You guys can hear it? Okay, I was gonna ask.
There.
It's just 40 seconds. Let me replay it.
I
It's
heard
an
part of it.
analogy. Oh, what's that?
I heard part of it.
Oh, it should have had audio the whole way through. Let me do it one more time.
Thank you.
There we go. Share sound. Boom. All right.
if you go to the gym
Can you guys hear it this time?
Yep.
Okay. There we go.
and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. Clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit.
Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day. You can skip a day or two. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency.
All right. So the point of this video is not to rush everyone to the gym. It's more so to make people send emails. But I thought it was a great analogy because trying to get something perfect before you make it happen usually will halt you. Analysis paralysis. So setting aside time every single day if you can, and just put your, what's going on in the market in your own words and send it out to, your whole email list might be something a habit you can form every single day. That could be one thing, just setting aside a little bit of time. You'd be surprised how much you can actually, how much content or how much you can get done if you just stick to a specific regime, not trying to go above and beyond every single time, and having a recipe and just sticking to that. Okay, today we're going to start even not even at that level. I'm just going to show you guys how to utilize some of the integrated tools that KVCORE has to just do that part for you. You can just set it up, get some automated emails to go out to your leads, and just let it do its thing. So that way you always know you're following up with everyone in your database. And not only that, that frees up time, mentally knowing that that's happening in the background, you can focus more time on actually generating more leads to the best way you can. That might be cold calling for you or open houses. The goal is to just free up that time to be able to get more leads, because you can know every single thing when it comes to real estate. You can know the ins and out of the contracts, the agreements, the doing comps, CMAs, even knowing how KVCORE works. But if you're not actually generating any leads that you're going to apply this knowledge to, none of it actually matters at the end of the day. So the person who's actually actively putting themselves in front of people, even if it's not in the perfect way, will almost always beat the person that knows it all but has no one to apply that knowledge to. Okay, hopefully that made some sense. But that was a short video of the day. So you might ask, well, all this is fun and great, and I want to get into this, but I can't do email marketing. I don't have any leads. I get this a lot of times. People do say they don't have any leads to nurture to. But even beyond KVCORE, what I like to say is, oh, I think we have someone joining us. So even beyond KVCORE, right? If KVCORE wasn't a thing, to operate in real estate, you need to actively be looking for leads. And there's always someone you meet somewhere. There's always someone that refers you to someone. There's title reps that can give you lists with people's, information on them. You can always purchase. Actually, I think the next slide has, oh yeah. Okay. So there's always a way to generate leads. I think there's just an opportunity that people are missing. And that opportunity is getting into the habit of instinctually plugging every single lead you get into the system. Because you could go out to a coffee shop, hear people talking about real estate. This is a rare scenario. This doesn't happen to everyone, but you might meet someone that might want to buy or sell real estate. And you might be compelled to get their information, give them your card. They'll give you their number. They'll give you their email address. Now, for most, their first intuition won't be to go to KVCORE and plug that email into the database. I think that's where the big opportunity is. So just building the habit to just go straight there, put the lead in the system, and put them on some kind of automated drip campaign. Okay, again, huge cliffhanger. We're gonna get to that point, but I want to preface it with all of the opportunities you need to seize to even make this uh, lead nurturing strategy a possibility. So as long as you have an email, you have a lead, because with that email, you have the power to to follow up with that person till the end of time without even thinking about it using CRMs. Okay. So a few methods that are out there, probably more. These are just some of the ones I thought of off the top of my head. You can reach out to title reps. So title reps can provide you with lists of contacts from specific neighborhoods at your demand. And I don't think they charge for it. Sometimes I think some of them, if you want emails or phone numbers, they'll charge you, I think, a few dollars. I think the other day, no, not the other day, a few weeks ago, I got um, about 4,000 contacts and I had to pay $30 for the email addresses for those 4,000, 5,000 contacts, which I would say is very, very well worth it. And I got all that from my title rep. So just giving them a call, asking about leads in a specific area is going to get you that first batch of free leads or just at a minimal cost. Then you can plug all those people into KVCORE and get started with those guys. The second one here is buying geo leads. So this is actually how I got started. So I was using Mojo Dialer, which is cold calling software through which you can also purchase expired leads for sell by owner leads and all kinds of other leads. So you can also pay for the contact of homeowners in specific areas and then download that file with all of that information, plug it into KVCORE, and there you have it. You have an email list that you'll keep marketing to indefinitely and build a relationship with them. So at some point, one of those contacts is bound to pan out in a positive way. They might turn from a prospect to a lead, from a lead to a client, and then from client to close at some point in the future. It's just planting that seed and basically starting that domino effect, as soon as possible. Because the earlier you do this, the better it's going to get over time. Okay, just like wine, the older it gets, the tastier it gets. I don't drink wine, but I think that's how it works. Open house leads. So these are free. If you like to host open houses, people walk in, just grab their information. Your first instinct after writing it down and not forgetting it is to plug them into your CRM. Okay, you need to save them somewhere. So that's another free source of leads. If you can get an open house, they're not coming by very easy nowadays, but when you do get one, there's a huge opportunity where people are not plugging those leads into the database. Okay. Then I have passive leads. That's just people you meet here and there, grab their information, put it in there. Door knocking, sending out flyers, and cold calling and getting information that way. Okay. So if you're part of a group that gives you a list of people to call, and you don't have emails, you can ask during the phone call, or if there's already emails, just plug them into the system. So there's a plethora of ways to get leads into the system. Some paid versions if you just want to fast forward to getting them, or some free versions if you want to, pull some strings here and there and get some free leads into your database. Okay, so there's plenty of ways out there. I'm sure I'm missing some. There's social media, obviously. I did not put it in here. It's a little bit more advanced, but yeah, just pick the one that works best for you. Everyone is not the same. Some people prefer going out there, meeting people. Some people prefer open houses. Some people prefer cold calling. Just pick your poison, stick to it, get your leads, and nurture them. Okay.
What are flyer leads?
Flyer leads are essentially you making a postcard, or you're making a flyer, sending it or distributing that in a specific neighborhood, but having some call to action on that piece of paper that you're sending out. It could be a QR code, I do this with a lot of agents I build flyers for. I put a QR code on their flyers, and when people scan it, it could be a link to take them to get a home evaluation. It could be a search alert, you know, something of value that they might want to see. And upon scanning that code, it asks them for their email and phone number. Okay, so that's what I
Okay.
call flyer leads.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
What
So
are geo leads?
geo leads are so you know how you have expired leads, you have for sale by owner leads, you know, geo leads are leads that people who just own houses and that are not necessarily in an expired situation or for sale by owner situation. It's just a list of people who own the homes in a specific area. I hope that made some sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can buy geo leads on most cold calling platforms, Redx, Vulcan, Mojo. Just select an area and then it'll basically give you everyone's phone number in that area. They don't have to meet a specific criteria like FSBO or expires or whatnot. Okay. Yeah.
Did you find those numbers to be fairly accurate? Or you were doing email, so
Yes. I put so much emphasis on emails. I tend to not emails. I mean, phone numbers are important, but again, like I said, everyone's methods of nurturing leads is a bit different. Some people like to talk to people. I enjoy talking to people, but I prefer the back end stuff, just typing the emails and keeping that relationship that way, because sometimes phone numbers might be a little too intrusive. And when you reach out to people directly that way, they're more likely to unsubscribe quickly or quicker versus sending an email. It's less intrusive, and you tend to build a warmer relationship over a longer period of time in a more, you know, effective way, I personally feel. So I put a
okay.
lot of emphasis on emails because you can drag out that warming up to you period until now you can call them and you know each other. So that's why I prefer emails. And then I get to calling them once we start interacting.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, these are good questions. Anybody else has a question? So, all right, so yeah, no excuses. There's plenty of ways to get leads into your system. So pick the one that all of them work. You can do all of them, but I just go with one that you like. Get started slow. You don't have to do everything at once. Analysis paralysis is not fun. Okay. So now that you've got an email, ideally you know, chose one of these methods and you got some phone numbers, but some emails. Emails are the most important. You got some emails. So now what do you do? Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the CRM here. Can you guys see my KVCORE screen? I hope so.
Yes.
Awesome. So we're going to, let's act like I have no leads on here. This is just a fresh KVCORE system. Once you log in, this is the screen you will see the very first time you log into KVCORE every single time. You go to kvcore.com, log in. This is what will be on the screen. So I'm going to make this process as, well, break it down in as much detail as possible. And we're going to do this a few times so you get the gist of it. So let's say, let's pick one of these methods here. So let's say you met someone at an open house and let's call this person Dan. Let's say Dan is looking to buy a property. Okay, not necessarily the one you're doing the open house for, but he's interested in buying a property. So you talk with Dan and you guys, you know, seem to be getting along, and he gives you his contact info, he gives you an email, he gives you a phone number, you have his name, his last name, and all of that fun stuff. So now what I would like you guys to get in the habit of doing to take advantage of KVCORE is to, once you get that information, you have it on a notepad, on your phone somewhere. Once you get home and you're almost ready to call it a day, log into KVCORE. The first thing you will see again is the dashboard, which we're looking at here. The easiest, most simplest way to add a contact is through the quick actions button up top right here. I'm going to zoom into it so you can see. Okay, it'll say quick actions. It's going to be a blue button. Okay, so once you log into KVCORE again, this is the first thing you'll see. So even if you happen to be in Playbooks or Smart CRM, this little tab will always be at the top right here. So you could click quick actions. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard. We're going to click on the quick actions button. And then what we'll do is we'll click on add contact. It'll be the very first option. So I'm going to click on that. And then now, just like your phone is going to ask you, obviously, some basic questions. Who is this contact you're trying to add? So we'll put the contact's name. I'll put Dan. Well, his last name is going to be Tuesday. And let's give him an email. Dan buyer 123 at gmail.com. Okay. Let's say Dan didn't even have a phone number, okay? Because we want the email. The email is number one. Obviously, if you meet in person, you've already built that rapport. It might be a good idea to also ask for the phone number. But if all else fails, just make sure at least you have an email. Because if they don't pick up that phone, they might block your number at some point or just silence you, so they'll never see your, your messages. But if you have an email, yes, most people might delete the email here and there, but at some point, once they're ready to look into buying or selling real estate, your emails will still be coming through periodically. And then you have a higher likelihood of getting a click and then them going to your website and actually looking at properties. So that's why I focus on emails first to build that relationship. Even if they don't look at the first few emails from the first few weeks, maybe 2 months from now, Dan's going to want to buy and he's going to click on one of my emails and then reach back out to me. But if it was a phone, Dan might have blocked me already, which is not cool. So we'll say he didn't have one. Okay, excuse me. All right. So we have an email in here. Let's say we didn't get a phone number from him. And then down here, what we want to do is under the email tab, it's going to ask you if KVCORE has the permission to call, text, or email this person. By default, I would put no on call and text just to cover yourself, because there's a lot of laws that are in place now to penalize you for texting people without their consent. Okay. So unless you have, some kind of clear, yes, it's okay to call me or text me with marketing information, I would err on the side of, don't give KVCORE permission. But as far as the email goes, every email that KVCORE sends out, there's a, click here to unsubscribe option. So should they not wish to be contacted that way, they can always opt out. Okay, but because Dan gave me his email here, that's a pretty clear sign he is open to me sending him, marketing emails and stuff like that. So I'll put yes right here. Okay, so that's what all that is, just permission to use this method of communication using KVCORE. And then down here, obviously, just fill out all the information you have. The more you give, the better. But again, the most important thing here is going to be the email address. Okay. Now, because you talked to Dan, you met him at an open house, you probably got some info about what neighborhood he's looking into, or state or zip code. So let's just say Dan's looking in the 90504 area. Okay. So I'll just put that zip code in the address section. So from this point on, again, just fill out all the information you have. But honestly, all you need is a name and an email. Everything else is optional. So I'm just going to click add contact right here. Once we do so, KVCORE will open up like this, and we'll go to Dan's contact card. So what we're looking at here is all of the information pertaining to Dan. Okay, here's his name, his email that we put in there. Obviously, address doesn't have anything. I just put a zip code. We could have even skipped that. That doesn't really matter too much. I want to keep it as simple as possible. So the final step now is getting Dan to be on some type of unlimited drip campaign, something that's going to keep reaching out to Dan until the end of time. Okay, so get that email, subscribe them to some kind of marketing campaign, and then just let KVCORE do its thing. So here comes the final step. Oof, I need some water. Okay. Let's see here. Welcome, Devlin. Nice to see you. So yes, we added Dan to the contacts list. On the right-hand side here, we're going to scroll down. And the first three options we see here are all methods of adding Dan to some form of drip campaign. We're only going to touch on one today, okay? Maybe we're going to touch on the others at another time. But Dan is looking to buy at some point in the future in the zip code of 90504, which is Torrance. So what I'll do here, I'm going to subscribe Dan to a search alert, which will send Dan, frequent emails about new properties that are popping up on the market in that area. So at some point down the line, when Dan wants to pull the trigger, he would have already had so many emails sent to him with so many different properties. I'll be the first agent he thinks of when he has a question. Okay, so very easily, I'm going to click add where it says search alerts. It's going to take me to this screen right here, and I can actually give this a title. Okay, so this search title is, we can call it Dan search, anything you want. And then I would leave the where to send alerts, this section, the email subject line, which just means what it says, the subject of the email. I would leave it as a dynamic subject line. So this will change based on what KVCORE is sending. It'll make the subject look more appealing, if you will. And then down here, we have frequency. So I used to say maybe one email a week is okay for leads, but I've experimented, and I think even sending more than one email every week is fine. But sometimes just gauge how interested the person is. If Dan was looking to buy as soon as possible, I would change this frequency to maybe daily, so that every single day Dan gets an email. But if not so much, you can maybe do twice a week or maybe once a week. But if it's a committed, a person that's dedicated to finding something as soon as possible, I would sign them up to the daily emails. But if not, maybe twice a week or once a week. So for Dan, let's just do once a week here. Okay. This field down here, just what email is going to be CC'd every time something gets sent to Dan. So you're welcome to put your own email address here. So what that'll do is every time KVCORE sends something to Dan, it will also, it will CC your email also. So you get it too, which might be a good idea. So you're always aware what Dan is seeing. And then down here, so where are the listings that Dan is trying to see? Very simple. We'll put the zip code he told us, 90504. I'll click on that. And then you can basically create a filter around what's important to Dan, what's not important to Dan. If Dan is unsure what he wants, honestly, I would just leave all of this blank to just have everything new that's coming in this, that's getting listed in the zip code to be sent to Dan. But if he has some very stringent criterias, maybe he does not want, half bats, we can make it so it doesn't you know, have any of those or a certain amount of acres or other factors. But for Dan, we're just going to leave this open. So KVCORE is just going to send him all of the new listings once a week in this zip code of 90504. So we're just going to scroll all the way down and we're going to click set alert. Okay. Once I set alert, that's all. Let me zoom out here. Once I click set alert, that's pretty much all of the work done for Dan. So now Dan, from now until the end of time, once a week is going to receive properties in the 90504 area. And basically there's no filters. He'll get single family homes, condos, multifamily, etc. And I've seen this get a lot of success. Initially, I thought this would be too much, but people love looking at properties, even if they're not ready. People are going to click through, favorite them on your website. And every single time that happens, you're able to keep track of, you know, all of those interactions. So now, after a few months of Dan doing this, I'm able to call Dan because now we have some kind of relationship going where he keeps going back to my website. I know what he's looking for, and I can call and say, hey, I noticed you saw this, this, and that on my website. Is there any in particular you would like to go see, or, you know, some other thing you can say? So this was the whole process as far as getting Dan's contact at the open house, logging into KVCORE, adding him, and then creating a search alert. Okay. So now I'm going to X this out and I'm going to refresh the page. We're going to do this one more time so you guys can get the process once more. And before we do that, actually, anything you do or any action a lead takes will pop up on the dashboard right here. So let's imagine Douglas right here was Dan. Okay. We could say 5 days ago, Dan went to our website and viewed this listing. So just based off of this, I could call Dan and just ask him about that. Okay. But that is how the whole thing works. Questions before we do this one more time on anything I might have said? Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
Wait, I have a question. So,
Yeah.
what if it's on your lead set and you don't know what they're looking for? What are you sending out?
On there, what? One more time, I'm sorry.
For the leads that you've not spoken with, that you've not met, what are you sending out in terms of an email? What are you saying in
Oh,
email?
yeah, that's a great question. So actually, let's use that scenario as this next example. So we don't know what they're looking for. So what kind of information can you send them? So let's say you meet another person at this open house who's just there just to see. They're not in the market for us, but they still do give you their information. Oops. Can you guys still hear me? It's saying my connection's unstable here.
Yes,
Okay.
still hear you.
Yeah, so this person might as well be a random person who's not interested whatsoever, and they just so happen to give you an email, or maybe you got it through a referral, or maybe you got it on a website somewhere. Okay, you don't know what this person wants. All you have is a name and an email. So same process, log into KVCORE. You're going to click on the quick actions button up here. This is how you add a contact in the quickest way possible. So I'll click on that, add a contact, and let's call this person Julia, okay? Julia Wednesday. And then we'll give her an email, julia at gmail.com. Okay, and then I will give KVCORE permission to email Julia. Okay, remember, these are the only mandatory fields that you need to put in there: a first name, last name, an email, and then just give it permission for KVCORE to actually email this person. So once I have that in there, I'm going to click add contact. KVCORE is going to save that into my system. And then we're going to open up Julia's, you know, contact card. I don't know what name the KVCORE team gives to this window, but I just call it the contacts card because it has all of Julia's information, activity, and actions I can take. Okay. So now we have Julia in our system, but we don't necessarily know what Julia is looking for. So contacts that are in Julia's predicament, if you will, on my end, what I found works that works the best is to send them, instead of a search alert, because you don't know if they're searching, send them a market report of LA County, because most likely, depending on, you know, where you're working, everyone's going to be within the main county. So for me here, it's going to be LA County. I just send a market report of either the Los Angeles area or LA County. Okay. And the way I do that is almost the same as doing a search alert, but even easier. On the right hand side, so once we're in Julia's contacts card, we'll go all the way to the right. I'll scroll down a little bit, and then it'll say market reports right here. Okay. It's right under, well, two options below search alerts. So we'll click add, and then it's going to ask us for a location. I'm going to type Los Angeles. And then I'll do Los Angeles County right here. Or sometimes I even do, I'm sorry, county and then Los Angeles, not the neighborhood. So I'll put either the city of LA, because everyone wants to know what's going on in LA, or just the county. That'll encompass a larger area. So the goal here is to not focus on what we think they might want, is just giving them, you know, what's going on in the grander, you know, area, the whole county, or maybe a popular city. Because if you send people in mass what's going on in the popular cities, they're almost always going to want to at least click through to see what prices things are selling for, what kind of homes can they get at certain price ranges. It's just getting them to click on your website to go look at those properties, and that you just want that engagement. So I wouldn't stress too much about not knowing what the person's looking for, because if the person's interested, they will somehow let you know, either by saying, I'm not interested in that area. Then you can take that and actually ask them what area they're interested in, or through looking at the area you choose for them, they can actually search their preferred area through your website. Okay, a lot of people do this unconsciously. You can click on one thing and then end up in a whole different section of a website. Happens on YouTube all the time. I start watching a video about maybe race cars, and the next thing you know, now I'm looking at cats or something, you know. So just give them something generic, the bigger county, maybe a popular city, type in the zip code, the name of the city or whatnot. And then right here, let's get back right here. So once you type in that area, I'll use Los Angeles County. Now you can choose the frequency at which these get sent out. Okay, so for contacts that I do not know, or, you know, I haven't met, and I have no idea whether they're trying to buy or sell, this is the method I choose, and I always choose 21 days. Okay, 21 days. There's no concrete studies that say you need to do 21 days. The reason why I do 21 days is it's not quite every single month, but it gives the illusion that they're getting something every single month, even though you're doing more touches overall over a span of, you know, a few months. So I try not to do 14 days. I think 21 days has been what I've always used, and I've always gotten the most amount of success with that when sending emails to thousands of people. So I'm going to choose 21 days, and then you could click add, and that's it. Now, Julia will forever, till the end of time, always get a market report of the city of Los Angeles every single 21 days. Okay. And they might not look at it in 21 days, or maybe in 42 days, so on and so forth. But 4 months from now, maybe 4.5 months from now, Julia is going to open up one of those emails and say, you know what? I want to know what's going on in Los Angeles County. She's going to click on the email. go to the website, start looking, and then you build that engagement. Okay. Now I want you to multiply that. So this is just Julia. Multiply this by thousands and thousands and thousands of contacts. Okay, it's not difficult to build that amount of contacts. There's multiple ways to get contacts into your system, but it's just building that habit, getting that, you know, building well, I guess the habit, the consistency in doing so, you know, having the instinct to plug them into KVCORE and applying these marketing emails to them. Over time, you will see the benefit of them. Okay, I see the benefit of it, and everyone I've helped set up their KVCORE do get people that go to their website and start viewing listings. And that's what you want. You just want some kind of engagement, because when people engage, then you can take from that, nurture the relationship, and start calling them and become their local expert. Because chances are it's not on the first go when you tell someone I'm a realtor that they're immediately going to do business with you. It usually takes some time, some, you know, extra outreach from you to then turn that person into a client. Okay. So this is why I think email marketing still has such a huge opportunity amongst agents, because it's not so much the brick and mortar approaches where you go door knocking, you know, open house and stuff like that. And it's not quite doing social media either, but it's that middle ground that's still here. And I don't see email marketing going anywhere. But in 20 years from now, door knocking might not be as popular. Not saying it's not going to be a thing, and it is still effective today, but there's a ever growing, you know, movement of things moving online. You know, it's 2023, and every day that goes by, things are getting techier and techier. So I would start getting in the habit of doing things like these and covering your bases when it comes to the online world. Okay. But yeah, that was
Okay,
example two. Yes.
so KV Core has something in there that will prevent their emails being blocked or marked as spam.
That's a really good question. So this is something I actually tried to wrap my head around a lot, and I dove through a few articles on the KVCORE help article section, and I'm gonna go to the My Profile section here, okay? So I'm gonna zoom in here. I'm gonna click on my name, and I'm gonna go to My Profile. So the best way to get your emails to not end up in the spam is to have your EXP Realty email turns out. Okay. I thought that was not the case, but having your at EXP Realty email will actually give you a lower likelihood of ending up in people's spam versus having another kind of account on here. And the reason why I say that is if I click edit here, so there's two different email fields. Don't do what I'm doing here. Okay, your from email, I'm actually going to change this back to, oops. So the first email field, this is what you use to log into KVCORE. Okay, so if you change this email, you might not be able to log into your account anymore because that is no longer the credential you use to log in. So I've had a few questions about that and I figured it out. That's why do not change the top email. The bottom one, however, is what people see when the email people see when you send out marketing emails, but it is also the email KVCORE notifies you when there's anything going on with the lead, someone signs up on your website, etc. So having your EXP Realty email has a higher chance of making it to the inbox versus a non-verified domain name, if you will. Okay, so the short answer is use EXP. The long answer is unless you have some SEO optimized website or you have a specific domain yourself like I do, then just keep your EXP Realty email on there because it's a known company and inboxes are already for lack of a better word, aware that this is an established company and not a scam, and it has a higher likelihood of ending up in the inbox. Okay, I hope that answered your question a little bit, Misty.
Yeah, I did. Does the KVCORE website allow, is it, you to optimize SEO?
Yes, it does, but it's not fully. There's very limited amounts of things you can do to actually improve the SEO on the KVCORE website, because most of the things are already hard coded in there.
Mhm.
But for most, I don't think that's, to be frank, something that you should be putting a lot of energy into, because even if your website is SEO optimized, you still have to compete with so many other agents with the same, domain at .exprealty.com, that unless you're a huge mogul established amazing mega agent, putting the energy into that might not give you the ROI, as soon as you want it to, if that makes sense. I would focus on sending out a lot of emails and redirecting people to the website that way. That's a much lucrative approach, I would say.
Makes sense.
Yes, that's a great question. Anybody else has any questions? Anything email related, non-email related, website, CRM, anything? Okay. Yeah, so one very final time, and then we're gonna close out. Again, build the habit of plugging every single lead you get into your KVCORE system, and either add them to a search alert, or add them to a market report campaign. The way you do that, log into KVCORE, click on the blue button at the top that says Quick Actions, click Add Contact, put their first name, last name, and email. You don't need a phone number. Okay, first name, last name, email, and then click yes where it says email right here, so that KVCORE has the permission to send them, all of that stuff we're trying to send them. So once you add that contact, let's click on Dan, for example. The person will pop up just like so. And then on the right-hand side, we're going to scroll down, and we can add a search alert if the person is a buyer. We know that they're looking to buy at some point. Or if we have no information whatsoever, what's worked for me extremely well is just adding them to a market report of a popular city near you, okay? Or the bigger county. You could just click add, type the name of the county or the zip code or the city that most people know in the area, and then choose 21 days is what worked for me. I invite you guys to do that too. Or if you want to send more frequent emails, you can also do a weekly thing. But once you choose that, click add, and then that's it. I didn't actually put anything in here. Let's do Beverly Hills this time. Beverly Hills, and everyone 21 days. So I'll click add, and just this one action right here will keep sending emails to Dan until the very end of time. And I mean it when I say that. It will not stop until either Dan opts out and makes it known that he doesn't want to receive those, or if you manually go into the system and actually cancel or, stop this campaign from going. And you'd be surprised, after a few months of them maybe not opening up your emails, one day they just do. They start looking at things on the website, and then from that point on, it's just make sure your follow-up game is on point, and just talk to them, turn them into a lead, and then close the lead. Okay, but it's just this little investment that can pan out to a lot of money down, in the very far future, or maybe in the near future sometimes. And then just X this times the thousands of contacts you'll just start putting in there through open houses, buying leads online, referrals, and all of that fun stuff. So there's no excuses as far as not being able to get people in here. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole A through Z. of email marketing at its most basic form using KVCORE.
Hey, going back to the beginning,
Yes.
the content of what is getting emailed out.
Mhm.
Were you getting that at, like, where you can add your own, or what you said KVCORE has built in?
Yeah, so just by us doing what we just did here, KVCORE actually builds the content around the area that we chose. So great question. Let's actually see what that looks like. So if I was to, any actions you do on the right-hand side here, like adding search alerts or market reports, especially, they will pop up on the timeline in the middle here. So there's a timeline of everything we did. So at this time, we added, Dan as a contact. Then the contact was synced to my Google Cloud. And then here, we subscribe Dan to a market report for Beverly Hills. The only reason why we don't see search alerts, even though we did that, is because it hasn't gone out just yet, okay? But the market report, you'll be able to click View Report right here. So if I click View Report, it's going to open a new window, and it'll show us what Dan will see, essentially what he's being sent. So it'll say, hi, Dan. It knows the person's name. Here's how the market's trending. And this, I don't know about you guys, I think this looks beautiful. It has your photo right here. Everything is, made to have your branding on there and what's sold in Beverly Hills. There's nice graphs. It's pretty cool stuff. They can also click on, maintenance, value, and equity. They can search for other things. So that's why I say just add like generic areas. And once they click on it, they'll start thinking of other areas they might want to see. And anything they do on here will be sent to your dashboard. So from there, you can, change up the cities that they're being sent and all of that fun stuff. But this initial screen is what Dan is being sent. Okay, it'll say, hi, Dan, and then everything else.
Can you niche it down to send a market report based on zip codes?
Yes, you can. So you can actually send multiple market reports. So back here in Dan's contact card, if I was to click add once more, I can just do a zip code of 90210, and then it'll pop up right here. Just click on it, do the same thing, maybe every 21 days again, and then add, and there we go. So there's a city, there's a zip code. You could do counties, neighborhoods, areas. It's very flexible.
And if you wanted to do a duplex or something like that, will they send out a market report on the sales of duplexes, or is it just very broad?
Yeah, the market reports are just everything that's being sold. I think it does everything but commercial stuff. It'll have the condos and the single family duplexes, just not commercial or crazy properties. But everything else, yes. If you want to send them duplex info or special properties, I would do it through the search alerts, because remember when we set this up, you get the option to choose what kind of, it'll break it down here.
It says commercial there. It says commercial at the top.
Yeah, but this is not a market report. This is just sending them all the new listings that fit that. So, but the market report won't do that.
Gotcha.
Okay. But you might be able to do this instead. Okay, that's a great question. Anybody else has a question? All right.
I do. Sorry, cannot mute in time.
Yeah, please. All the questions.
What other kind of content does it show besides just market reports and active properties?
So what we did now is just those two things. There are other things, again, for the sake of not giving you guys too much information at once. I'm trying to refrain from doing that. You are also able to do campaigns, which will send out other kinds of emails. Some of them are really funny. I've went through this before, but we're going to go into that. But you can also send out your personalized content. You can add smart campaigns around, these are my campaigns. Sphere of influence campaigns as curated emails that I've pre-made, renter emails. This is a little bit more advanced, but yes, there is more that you can do. This is just for the entry level, at least get some people in the system and send these to them for the meantime. And I would argue just doing these actually yields a better results than the campaigns, because they're just look at properties and you build engagement. Yeah.
So not for you to go into today, but like some of the video drips that you've been sending out, is that coming from your actual campaigns?
The emails I've been sending out?
Yeah.
No, that's just me literally typing it out. Yeah, that's that's me sitting at the computer and saying, huh, let me actually do some work today. Just like but no,
Okay.
everything I send you guys, I actually sit down and I type. But for clients, I try to streamline the process and just, make my life easier to free up more time to generate more leads.
But it does show you how that the email was opened and possibly how many times they viewed it.
It does. So actually, let me go to one of my leads. So the ones I send you guys, I don't do it through KVCORE. I have a whole separate website where I do that. But on KVCORE here, let's look at Colin, for example. I've been working with Colin for a while. So Colin here, all the emails he opens, I can see, the date it was sent, and if I hover over the little mail icon, it'll tell me when he opened it and at what time. So even if Colin never replied to me, I can tell he opened it. But this email, for example, he did not open it. But you can see I sent him a lot of emails because I know he's interested and he wants them as fast as possible. So this is another great thing about KVCORE that you can see. Okay.
So can you set up a campaign where every so many days, maybe you send an email, then you send a text, and then you've got notification to make a call.
Yes. Yes, you are able to do that. That's
I know we're not
that's
going to do that today, but okay.
expert level, but yes, that you can do that. And I try to talk about it before, but it's a lot. So I want to try to break it down into little pieces. But that's when you start getting into the active, the smart campaign section. So today we only covered search alerts and market reports. Those are very easy. But yes, you can do that. And we'll get into that also.
And we can hire you too, right?
Yes, that works also.
Yeah, you should at the end of the class put your fee for
Yes.
this campaign for this campaign that we're not going to talk about today.
Sure.
To your recollection, is it free built into what we already pay, or is it something we have to pay extra for?
No, so all the campaigns on KVCORE are free, and you can also create your own. So you don't have to pay for any. I know some agents out there do build some campaigns. They claim made them millions and they charge people for it. I have never bought a campaign myself. And especially with AI now, you can that's even getting more into the weeds of it, but you can create campaigns in seconds using AI. So I wouldn't pay for one, even if, unless it's a miracle campaign. Everything on here is free. You have a lot of templates you can use. And I would stick to the templates, honestly, until you get to the point where, okay, now I have to start going beyond, So not getting ahead of yourself, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Because I was stuck in that mode and it gives you analysis paralysis. So the basics are where the fundamentals are where the money's at, I would say.
Can you help set up the website? I mean, if you're paid, is that something you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I help a ton of agents actually. I need to send this via email to a lot of agents, well, to everyone on the contacts list, but I do manage some KVCOREs and I set up websites and KVCORE itself. So yeah, reach out to me, Misty, or anyone else that really does not like the tech stuff and wants to be as hands-off as possible. And then we can have that discussion and make it happen for you.
I like your presentations, but I just don't want to do it.
It's
That's
understandable. Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out and then we can see what we can do, okay?
okay.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for all the questions. Did we miss any questions? Anyone else had a question? All questions welcome. All right. Awesome. Okay.
Thorough.
Oh, question?
No, I said you were that thorough. No
Oh,
question.
okay. Yes, I try to be. This is the 2024 preview of Kane, Coach Kane.
All right. New model.
Awesome. So yeah, now we know how to, obviously this is being recorded, so I'll put it up in the next day or two so you guys can rewatch. But just a quick tip I wanted to add also, try not to get in the habit of importing leads into your CRM.
Oh no. Are you
That's
serious?
something I see a lot. Okay. Once you have someone in there, make it a point to add a search alert or a market report right then and there. So that way they don't just sit there dormant. So every lead you have on there should have, must have some kind of automated thing going out to them. If not, just remove them and just make your life easy so you don't have to jump over leads to nurture some and not some other ones. Okay, so this is just building a habit and that mental frame. But yeah, here we are. This was the end of this meeting. We learned how to add contacts in the most simplest way and get them on a market report and be conscious of that in the future. Okay. So yeah, if you have any questions, my email and phone number is up here. If you need to access the videos on YouTube, you can scan the QR code on the right-hand side and it'll take you to the channel where you can rewatch the previous trainings. And if you're into Facebook, I'll try to post more there too, going on 2024. So yeah, follow me on there too if you would like. But yeah, any last chance, any questions, anything I missed?
Excuse me. Sorry.
All right.
It's the best way to get a hold of you. I know you have your QR and your phone number and email, but
The
would you
best way, honestly, just send me an email. That is the best way to reach out to me. If you send me an email and I don't reply, just bombard me with phone calls. It's just go to town.
I'm gonna be a bugaboo.
Yes, bombard me. I'll pick up and then we'll get to it. But send me an email. I'm always in my emails and I'll see it and I'll get back to you.